Shalom Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, we get all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. The Bible says our apostles, elders, a great millstone, who will, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing this gospel. Got an article here from The Guardian, and we're just going to jump right into it. It reads, Farming. UK facing food shortages and price rises after extreme weather. It says heavy rain likely to cause low yields in Britain and other parts of Europe, with drought in Morocco hitting imports. This came out Tuesday, April 16, 2024. Hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. And it reads, the UK faces food shortages and price rises as extreme weather linked to climate breakdown causes low yields of farms locally and abroad. Record rainfall has met farmers, farmers in many parts of the UK have been unable to plant crops such as potatoes, wheat, and vegetables during the key spring season. Crops that have been planted are of poor quality, with some rotting in the ground. It's like, I got this on the back porch right now. It's a little chilly, so Lord willing, the heater don't drown my voice out. But going on, it says, the persistent wet weather has also meant a high mortality rate for lambs on the UK's hills, while some dairy cows have been unable to be turned out onto grass, meaning they will produce less milk. And something that I've been paying attention to for the past few years is this same situation that's happening right now in Britain is the same thing that's been happening over here in the Midwest, where the weather been more rainfall than what's needed for the crops to ultimately take in as nutrients to grow and do what they need to do. Has been like an over flooding, or then in some cases other areas where it's been very arid, dry, not receiving the precipitation needed to grow crops. So this is something that I've definitely been paying attention to for the past maybe like 5 to 6 years. Whereas each and every year when it comes to the Midwest, the yield of the crops has become, frequently less and less and less, which will result in what? Prices getting hiked up and raised up because they got to make forth the profit that they losing out on with all their crops being drowned out by the water, the rainfall. So that's why, you got to expect for those prices to rise up. It says agricultural groups have said the UK will be more reliant on imports. But similarly, wet conditions in European countries such as France and Germany, as well as drought in Morocco, could mean there is less food to import. Economists have warned this could cause food inflation to rise, meaning higher prices at supermarkets. Tom Bradshaw, the president of the National Farmers Union, said markets had collapsed as farmers failed to produce food in the punishing conditions. He said, we're going to be importing a lot more product this year. Right, so the more you import, that means the more you spend. So they say even though they will just spend more, whatever. These things could take hits on the economy. So forth and so on, because why they trying to depend on their own land, right? Trying to depend on that area to grow crops, but as the weather's how much try to bring that weather to destroy it. Now they got to spend more money, to import it. And then in some cases, some people don't want to import to you, so you got wars and stuff that's going on that's prohibiting other things. So it's a whole fiasco. But going on, it says one major retailer said the wholesale price of potatoes was up 60% year on year, as much as the crop had rotted in the ground. Supplies of potatoes have also been affected by 10% reduction in the area planted last year as farmers switched to less weather-dependent and more financially secure crops. Industry insiders said they expected a further 5% fall in planting this year. And you gotta understand, when this, it was just 5%, it was just 4%, this and that. When it's happening over a span of years, that 5 can eventually go up to 50%. It can eventually go up to 60%. So even though it may seem like a small percentage, that shit adds up, right? It says Jack Ward, a chief executive of the British Growers Association, said, there is a concern that we won't ever have the value to potatoes we had in the past and the future, right? So they know that we ain't gonna ever be back to how we was, Because why the Lord is, destroying these devils, destroying everything, destroying their kingdom. Everything is spiraling down the drain, so to speak. He said wholesale prices were too low for farmers to generate enough income to cope with high fuel, labor, and machinery costs, as well as the effects of climate breakdown. We are not in a good position in this. Look, let me read that again. We are not in a good position, and it is 100% not sustainable. Supplies of carrots and parsnips, which are left in the ground and so also affected by sodden soils, are also much lower than usual, pushing up prices. It says Martin Lyons, the chief executive of Nature Friendly Farming Network, said the impact in the UK this year will significantly affect potatoes and the salad crop. Farmers are already facing delays in planting, with many fields in poor condition. If planting occurs at all, it will likely be late, potentially leading to a shortage of root vegetables and potatoes this coming winter. Some farmers have ceased planting altogether, opting instead to put fields into fallow or switch to alternative crops. This could also result in shortages of wheat, barley, and pulses, as it's currently unprofitable to grow these due to the lateness of the season and low forecasted prices. It says Guy Sean Watson, the founder of the organic vegetable box company in Riverford, said he has so far planted virtually no veg. Some overgrown plants cannot wait any longer to go in the ground and will have to be ditched. While retailers often turn to imports to fill gaps on shelves, farmers across Europe are enduring a similar difficult start to the year, with difficulties developing winter crops and sowing spring crops. France is experiencing the poorest start to its wheat growing since 2020 amid cold, wet weather, while production of fruit and vegetables in Morocco is being affected by drought. Morocco's second largest reservoir has dried up, meaning irrigating crops will be difficult. Amber Sawyer, an analyst at the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit, said last year almost a third of the UK's potatoes and more than 2/3 of its raspberries and Brussels sprouts came from Morocco. As climate, so look, now Morocco's having issues, so the UK ain't gonna be getting that either. So this is the Lord, man. He coming to play you devils, right? They say the UK, what they say, France. Did I see Spain somewhere? I could be tripping. But nonetheless, this is happening to, the beast, the NATO, the EU. The Lord, like I said, got a bone to pick with you, Esau, You know what I'm saying? So, for, you fools thinking things gonna get better, gonna look up, man, y'all are deceived. It says, as climate change worsens, the threat to our food supplies, both at home and overseas, will grow. Scientists have said this is just the beginning of shocks to the food supply chain caused by climate breakdown, and that without rapid action to drive down emissions by ceasing to burn fossil fuels, the current system is unsustainable. And I like that. Say, well, it is just the beginning of shocks. Well, let me get this real slocky. Get this real quick. The beginning of shocks, right? Slocky. It's a new phone, so okay, Kyle. This is Matthew chapter 24, start at verse 20, Salakia, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be what? Famines, right? This is what's going on over there. Food shortages, famines, lack of this, lack of that, right? And pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And this is what I wanted from, they say, the beginning of shocks. Verse 8, all these are what? The beginning of sorrows, meaning they are subject to get worse and worse and worse, right? This is a couple more paragraphs. Dr. Paul Berens, an associate professor of environmental change at Leiden University in the Netherlands, said we should all be extremely concerned. So you should be extremely concerned, but guess what? The people over here in Babylon the Great is just carried on into bullshit, partying and bullshitting. Worrying about, like, again, some of us watch sports, but we don't be all caught up in it. And this person draft going on right now. There's a drought going on right now. Somebody's starving to death. It's nations war with each other. Pestilence is outbreaking, right? But you don't give a shit. You don't care as long as you got your cigarette, your cigarillos and your beer and your weed and your man. As long as you got all that with you, you straight, right? So while you over here, relaxing and dwelling in carelessness, this man just said, well, we should all be concerned. We need to be doing everything to reduce emissions while transforming our food systems. He added, if we don't, I expect huge turmoil, right, and escalating prices in the next 10 to 20 years. Lord, will we not? We won't be here that long, but pretty much he's telling you things is going to get worse and worse and worse as time progresses. See, people think, as long as time we have time, things get better. No, the time that you have is going to continue and remain to be worse and worse as far as conditions on Earth. Right? It says when food prices spiral, we always expect political instability. I wish people understood the urgent climate threat to our near-term food security. Fortunately, we know many ways we can make the food system more resilient while reducing food emissions. The biggest opportunity as high-income nations is a reduction in meat consumption and exploration of more plants in our diet. So, see, this would be the madness because they just said, well, it's going to get worse the next 10, 20 years. But then, fortunately, we know, shut the hell up. What we know, being Lord willing, being, the man of the Lord, if you have about Shemal Shai, what we know is that it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. As a matter of fact, what's being sent is sent from on high, from Yahweh Shemal Shai. Get right into it, 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 1. Behold, speak down the ears of my people the words of prophecy, and the people of Yahweh Shemal Shai are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who make up the 12 tribes of Israel. Don't forget the speckled bird, too. Our brothers and sisters that may look like the other nations because they were scattered amongst them and mingled with them. But whoever was mingled with, as long as they was mingled with from the male, from the seed line, they still go back to the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? The words of what? Prophecy, right? So what prophecy means what to say before. So the things are being said right now before they happen. That's why the Lord say, hey, give them warning from me. It's a warning going out to you, right? And say, well, which I will put in thy mouth, say if you have about Shemal Shai. So it was the Lord putting the words in our mouths to speak unto thee. And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true, whereas while we have the scriptures. And of course, the Most High is not a man that he should lie, right? They say, well, fear not the imaginations against thee, right? Whatever they imagine against you. Scoffing, talking shit, what they want to do, this and that. Fear none of that. Right? Let not the incredulity or unbelief, because that's what it is. It's just they don't believe. So, hey, let not their unbelief of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Why? For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Talking to you Israelites, to hell to the nations. Hey, if you don't want to be faithful to Yahweh Shemal Shai, you don't want to take heed to the doctrine, you don't want to accept it, which we all know is through the Spirit. The Lord got to bring you into this thing, but, just speaking on the surface, if you don't want to submit to the will of Yahweh Shemal Shai, you're going to die. And you're an unbeliever. You're an anti-type, That's what you are. You through. They say, behold, save Yahweh Shemal Shai, I will bring plagues upon the world. The sword, what? Famine, death,